Hey guys, here we are for our phonics, for our reading lesson today. It is Tuesday. I hope you had a great time yesterday. It was beautiful out after you did all your schooling, which you did amazing on with those ow words. You did so great. I'm so proud of you. So today I'm going to be reading another story to you guys, and I think you're going to love it, and I think you're going to recognize the main ow. Oh, I thought that was open. Ouch. Oh, you know what? Getting hurt reminds me of something. When you get hurt, it's like a problem, right? Or something bad. Oh, I just really hurt my elbow. Oh, ow. When you get hurt, it's a problem, right? And what do you do when you get hurt? Usually you ask for help, right? You might say to your friend or to your mom, like, Mom, I got really hurt. I need help, right? And maybe mom will go get an ice pack. And now my elbow doesn't really hurt anymore. That reminds me of the book we read yesterday. Now, what's that sound, right? At the beginning of the story, the problem or what they needed to figure out, right? They couldn't figure out what the sound was that they kept hearing, right? The problem was that there was a sound they couldn't hear, that they heard, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And Marta and Gilbert kept looking and listening and trying to find what the sound was. And finally, they figured out that it was a woodpecker. Miss Egan, my problem was I hurt my elbow. Oh, see, it's red. The problem is I hurt my elbow. The solution was that I went and got an ice pack to make it better. So today, we're going to listen to a story, and we're going to listen for the problem of the story. We're going to see how they tried to figure out how to solve the problem, steps to the solution, right? Sometimes Miss Egan and I luckily had an ice pack right here. But sometimes you might have to go say, Mom, Dad, or ask somebody else for help, right? Sometimes you have to walk a friend to the nurse, right? Other times it's not about someone getting hurt. Maybe it's about you don't know how to figure out a problem, so you have to keep trying, right? So that's our steps to the solution, how to get to the answer, right? And finally, the solution is the answer, how to fix the problem. My arm doesn't hurt anymore because I got an ice pack. That's the solution. I got an ice pack. Yesterday in the story, they found that the sound was being made by the woodpecker, right? So that was the solution. They found the answer to what was making that sound. So today in our story, we're going to hear some ow words with that OW from cow, or maybe OU in ouch, right? Ow, ow, ow. We'll hear some of our sight words also, and I want you guys to listen to two vocabulary words. I forgot to introduce them yesterday. So the first word is scrambled. Scrambled. Now, do you guys remember at the beginning of the year, I think we had talked about this word, and I'm revisiting this word, scrambled. Similar to the word scurried, right? When I'd say, you guys are scrambling to get in line, right? When you walk really quickly, or if you climb really quickly, if you scramble, then you're going somewhere in a hurry, like you're doing it kind of crazily, right? Right now, when the grocery stores don't have a lot of toilet paper, people are scrambling to try and find some. Right? So scrambled. We're going to hear that word in the story, scrambled. And the other word I want you to listen for is suddenly. Suddenly. So a chunk word in there that you might recognize is the word sudden, right? If something happens all of a sudden, it happens out of nowhere. So if something happens suddenly, it means it happens very quickly without any notice, right? Suddenly. Suddenly. The opposite of suddenly would be really slowly. So suddenly means it happens so quick, out of nowhere. When you have a vocabulary word and you say the opposite, that's called an antonym. For my super listeners, which I know you are. Okay, you ready to read this story? Let's read. This story is called Whistle for Willie. And does anything about this front cover of the book look familiar to you? The illustrations look a little familiar. That boy looks a little familiar. Whistle for Willie. The author is Ezra Jack Keats. That sound familiar to you? We've read a book by him before. And this story is fiction. And not only is it fiction, but it's realistic fiction. So fiction means it's not real, right? That someone made it up. But realistic fiction means that it could be real, right? That the characters are not based off of real people, but they could be real, right? They do things that are realistic. They do things that you and I do every day. And that the events that take place in the story maybe didn't really happen to these people, but could happen, right? There are things that could happen. It's not Frog and Toad sitting baking cookies. It's a boy and his mom and his dad and a dog, right? And the setting is in a place that could be real, either a real, looks like a town, or it kind of seems like a town, right? It's not a family up on the moon, right? Everything about it is kind of real, okay? So we're gonna listen to this story and we're gonna see if we can figure out what the problem, what the steps to the solution, and what the solution are. Whistle for Willie. Do you think that boy is Willie? If you remember the book that we read by this author before, then you'll know that that's not Willie. So I wanted to see if you make a prediction, if you can, and if you can use your schema, right, what you already know, to see if you can remember what book we read with that boy in it. Oh, how Peter wished he could whistle. Aw, that's Peter. Knowing that his name is Peter, does that help you remember what book we read? Snowy Day. That's right, when he walks in the snow in the city, right, and looks at his footprints, and he has a lot of fun. Oh, how he wished he could whistle. He saw a boy playing with his dog. Whenever the boy whistled, the dog ran straight to him. Peter tried to whistle, but he couldn't. So instead, he began to turn himself around. Around and around he whirled, faster and faster. When he stopped, everything turned down and up and up and down and around and around. Look at what Ezra Jack Keats did here. What was Peter doing? Have you guys ever spun around and around and around, faster and faster? What's happening to Peter? He's getting dizzy. That's right. And when he stopped, look what Ezra Jack Keats did to the illustrations. He turned them and he slowed down the way that we would read it. Everything turned down and up and up and down, right? So look what he did to the illustrations and how he did the words. He wanted us to really feel what Peter was feeling. Have you guys ever gotten dizzy like that before? Me too. Peter saw his dog Willie coming. Quick as a wink, he hid in an empty carton lying on the sidewalk. Wouldn't it be funny if I whistled? Peter thought. Willie would stop and look all around to see who it was. Peter tried again to whistle, but still he couldn't. So Willie just walked on. So that's the second time in this book, right, that they're telling us that Peter couldn't whistle, that he tried, but he couldn't, right? On the first page, we see, oh, how Peter wished he could whistle. And he saw a boy whistling to his dog, and he tried and couldn't. And now again that he tried, but he couldn't. What do you think the problem is in this story? Peter can't whistle, and he wants to. Who here can whistle? It's a little hard being able to whistle. It's definitely something you have to keep trying and practicing. So our problem is Peter wants to whistle but can't. Do you guys want to make any predictions as to what you think is going to happen in this story? How is he going to be able to solve that problem? What kind of steps do you think he would take? What would you do if you couldn't whistle and you wanted to? Hmm. Make those predictions. What do you think is going to happen? Peter got out of the carton and started home. On the way, he took some colored chalks out of his pocket and drew a long, long line right up to his door. He stood there and tried to whistle again. He blew till his cheeks were tired, but nothing happened. So we hear that he tried to whistle again, and he blew until his cheeks were tired. So does that mean he tried a little bit or he tried a lot? Yeah, he tried a lot. Do you think that would be steps to the solution? That he kept trying and practicing till it hurt, even though he still couldn't? Yeah. He kept trying and practicing. And do you want to change your predictions that you've made? Keep thinking about it. Visualize what you think is going to happen in the story. How do you think Peter feels right now? Have you ever wanted to do something and not been able to do it, and you keep trying and you keep practicing? It's not a great feeling, right? But what does Miss Egan say? If there's something that you want to do and you can't do it right now, that doesn't mean you won't be able to do it. We say, I can't do it yet. That's right, the power of yet. Let's say that to Peter. Say, Peter, you can't do it yet. We wish you luck, Peter. Let's see. He went into his house and put on his father's old hat to make himself feel more grown up. He looked into the mirror to practice whistling. Still no whistle. Oh, Peter, he tried to make himself feel grown up. So maybe because he can't whistle, he feels like a little kid. But does that make him a little kid? No. So he put on his father's hat to make him feel more grown up. And he tried to practice even more. Even more practice. So he's still trying. He's not giving up, right? Good job, Peter. When his mother saw what he was doing, Peter pretended that he was his father. He said, I've come home early today, dear. Is Peter here? His mother answered, Why, no, he's outside with Willie. Well, I'll go and look for them, said Peter. Now, I want to ask you guys, remember this story is realistic fiction. Is this something that could happen in real life? Absolutely. Have you ever pretended to be your mom or your dad and maybe dressed up in their clothes a little bit? Yeah, this is definitely something that can happen in real life. And maybe the illustrations are a little whimsical looking, but that doesn't mean the story and what's happening in the story couldn't take place, right? This is very realistic fiction. So now, remember, Peter said, I will go out and look for them. So on the next page, we know Peter is going outside. First, he walked along a crack in the sidewalk. Then he tried to run away from his shadow. Have you ever tried to run away from your shadow? I don't think he'll have any luck. He jumped off of his shadow. But when he landed, they were together again. He came to a corner where the carton was. And who should he see but Willie? Anyone want to change their prediction, what they think is going to happen? Remember that carton and what happened before? Let's see what happens. Peter scrambled under the carton. He blew and blew and blew. And suddenly, out came a real whistle. Willie stopped and looked around to see who it was. It's me, Peter shouted and stood up. Willie raced straight to him. Peter ran home to show his father and mother what he could do. They loved Peter's whistling, and so did Willie. Peter's mother asked him and Willie to go on an errand to the grocery store. He whistled all the way there, and he whistled all the way home. Let's look at our chart here. The problem was Peter wants to whistle but can't. The steps to finding the solution was that he kept trying and practicing and even more, and he kept trying till it hurt. And then finally, what happened? He was able to whistle. Finally, Peter could whistle. Did anyone make that prediction that he would hide under the same carton? Remember in the beginning he was saying, it would be so cool if I could whistle and I would trick Willie, right? He would look around and not know where I was. Did anyone make that prediction? Wow, what a great story. And he was so happy. He went home to show his parents that he could whistle because he was so proud after all of that hard work. And he went all the way to the store and all the way home whistling. So proud. So I hope you really enjoyed that story and that you were able to work through our problem, the steps to the solution, and the solution of the story in Whistle to Willie. And I'm going to ask you for you to tell me in your own words about the problem and the solution in the story Whistle for Willie on Seesaw. All right, guys. Talk to you later.